All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Countless Vlogcast. My guest today is Author Maxina Storibrook. I'm going to bring her on just talk about her book, and hope you guys enjoy. All right, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
So tell us a little about yourself.
My name is Maxina Storibrook. I'm a predominantly sci-fi fantasy author, though recently I've been dabbling in thriller. And I graduated from Full Sail University with a master's degree in creative writing for the entertainment industry. So I actually took that knowledge and my personal experience and wrote a textbook as well. And so I already have over 7 books out over the past 4 years and just continuing the journey and sharing my stories.
So when did you start writing, and when did you take it more seriously, professionally?
I actually started writing when I was 7 years old, and ever since then, I had decided I'm going to be a writer. So my entire life was centered around doing my best to get myself prepared to the best of my abilities to be able to write for the rest of my life, if I could.
Okay, great. So what was your first book you published, and what was that process like?
The first book that I published is actually my debut book series, Danarko, which is the first book in the Danarko Saga. And so I published that back in 2016. And the process was that uh, November 2015, during National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo, I sat down after I graduated and plotted out my book and wrote it within 21 days. Because I've had the series in my head for so long, all it really takes is for me to sit down and really focus on it and write it to get it out there, since it's just been churning in my head for these past few decades.
That's great. So what's the narco genre, and how did you discover or come into that genre?
The genre is sci-fi fantasy, or science fantasy as it's also called. So it has aspects of both technology and also fantastical elements such as dragons and fae and elves. But then for the technology, there's this biochemical called Voyana and Source that in other books they might just call it magic, but really there's a scientific explanation behind it all. And also more advanced features such as futuristic elements such as hovering platforms and hoverboards and translocation and other things like that. I came into this genre because really my whole life this has been my favorite genre, especially fantasy. And I grew up on things like Tamora Pierce and a lot of more fantastical element books, as well as Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki movies.
Okay, great. So, what are some inspirations on in terms of your writing, and what inspires you to start the series? So, like, what to take it back to like when you first began writing? What inspired you? What some inspirations that still inspire you, maybe?
I was 7 years old, so I don't remember, but my mom tells me that I was watching a lot of Studio Ghibli, and I'm still a huge fan of Hayao Miyazaki, especially Princess Mononoke, which is my poster in the back. um, and I have actually been complimented with my books that, especially if they're also Studio Ghibli or Hayao Miyazaki fans, they actually see the influence of those within the series. And what inspires me now to this day is still Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki's, but also just light novels in general. I've been reading a lot of light novels and I still take inspiration off of them. And just anything with a good story, really.
That's great. So, I asked this question to all authors and artists. What makes you unique and sets you apart from other creatives?
I would like to say that what makes me unique is that I do a lot of depth in my books. And not only that, I try to explore ideas that have not been explored. And my style of writing is actually unique. You don't really see my style of writing out there, and that is that I write in present tense, third person, just like movies. And I actually do that on purpose. It's because for the Danarko series specifically, I want to make it feel like you're there with the character and that it does play out kind of like a movie.
Okay, great. So, who were some of your influences in terms of authors, and what do you take away from your influences?
Some of my influencers are Julie Kagawa, who does fantasy and paranormal and um, modern day fantasy. I should specify. She writes teen YA novels, and she really sets a bar for me, really, because I really love her work. Tamora Pierce as well, I still take away from her every now and then. When I'm feeling down, I'll go and read her books and remind myself why I want to write, because I grew up with Tamora Pierce. And some others, really, I can't pick any specific ones because I take influence from a lot of different things and a lot of different genres.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little about the business side of like, being an author. So are you self-published or are you a publisher, and what got you down that path?
I'm an independent, but I've actually recently opened up my own publishing house and trying to convert it into a traditionally published medium. And I actually already have one author underneath me as well. And so I have an editing team, a formatting team, and a cover design team as well.
Okay, great. So what are your methods in terms of like branding yourself or promoting yourself using social media or any other platforms and outlets?
Marketing is definitely one of my weak points, I will admit, but I am doing my best with the social media posts and everything else like that. And overall, just trying to share my daily life as an author and just trying to be more human nowadays. What's been going on in the world has definitely stumped my plans a little bit because I used to do conventions on a regular basis to help get my book out there and meet with my fans and everything else like that.
Okay, great. So in terms of like look, you talked about how's your creativity been affected during this time too, and what are some of your goals now?
Creativity has been affected, but in a positive way. um, I'm one of those who actually got off of work because of everything going on. And instead of drowning in sorrow, I have been taking this opportunity to throw myself into my creativity. And I want to say that it's provided some fruit because I published my sci-fi thriller, The Calling, on June 15th. And I've been crafting and making my jewelry, which is another favorite pastime of mine, and just building up my stock for my conventions for when the world starts back up again.
Okay, so let's talk about your audience. When you think about your audience, do you when you're writing, do you think about audience before you're writing, during your writing, after you're writing, or do you think about them at all, or just like you have like a set audience when you think about your writing?
Overall, I think of the audience before I write and make sure that I make sure that with my book, the book that I'm writing, it is in the audience that I want it to be in. And then I don't think about it while writing. I write out the story in its entirety. And then I go in after I'm done writing in the editing part, and I make sure that it still follows that audience. If it doesn't, then I either tweak a few things to make it so it fits the audience, or I'll actually just change the audience for the book overall. Because I've been writing in the Danarko Saga, which I consider a teen YA and also good for advanced readers, I've pretty much set that audience over the entire series. So that's already set in stone. So really all I do is I think about the audience after I'm done writing and just make sure that all the content fits that series audience as I'm editing.
Okay. So what do you want people to take away from your series of the Narco?
I want people to realize that it's it's a story about a girl who could be anyone, and circumstances happen, and how you treat those circumstances and how you react determines who you are, not your past actions. Your past actions are your past. What you do with the knowledge and how you move forward and how you act from there on out actually determines who you are and who you will be.
Okay. So part two of that question, what's been the feedback so far from that series, from your audience, and I guess people that outside of your audience that may have discovered you in your book?
They love it. I am actually really surprised at how many people have come up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, Max, I absolutely love your story. When is the next one coming out?" And I've had people tell me that it reads like a movie, which is what I was going for. And I've had people tell me that the characters are so realistic. Even the side characters are so realistic. And that also makes me happy because that's what I wanted. To me, these characters are real people. And I did my best to try to convey that. And it's being noticed, and it makes me really happy.
Okay. Being an experienced author and writer, you've been through ups and downs. If you could give advice to anyone out there, artists and creative, young artists or author struggling out there, what could you tell them?
Don't give up. If you have a dream, keep following it. And even if you get negative feedback, even I've gotten negative feedback and people who want to try to tear me down, I still keep doing it because it's what I love and it's what makes me happy. And you
Great.
should do the same.
Great. So, what's your next project you're working on currently? Without giving too much away, like a snippet of what's happening next.
I'm currently working on editing the first run through the fourth and fifth books of my series, which are the last books, as well as starting the outlining process of Virtuo, which is my lit RPG book. So I'm delving into another category. After sci-fi thriller, I'm going into lit RPG. And I'm quite excited about that one because I have been looking forward to writing this one for several years now, since college, actually. So before I even published Danarko, I've had this one in my head.
It's really awesome, really awesome. So, what do you want to expand on and learn about during this time too? I know you said a little about marketing too, but if like anything outside of like anything outside of your writing that you want to expand on to help you grow?
I've actually been delving into new crafts. I've been doing a lot of paper crafts, such as my paper roses back here. I actually made those. And I've also been doing a lot of resin making. I'm making things like coasters, wall decorations, jewelry, and stuff like that in regards to like dragons and other things. And overall, just creating is just so much fun for me. So I try to expand into as many things as possible to find a new creative outlet for myself.
Wow, that's really awesome though, because you seem to have a lot of like all around creativity. So, I like to end these with like a positive message from you to the world out there, and anything like to share or plug.
If you have a story, start writing. If you have an idea, try it out. And most importantly, have fun with it. Don't make it tedious by working too hard on it or exhaust yourself to where you never want to pick it up again. Always make your craft fun and something that you look forward to even after a long day of work.
So, where can people find you at? Websites, on social media tags, all that. People can follow you.
My website is maxinastoribrook.com, Storibrook. And on there, you can find my books in both ebook, audiobook, and physical form. I'm also on Amazon with all of my books. And if you ever do want to check out my jewelry, I do have an Etsy shop called Storibrook Trinkets, Storibrook again. And other than that, you're more than welcome to check out my social media handles at Maxina Storibrook on Facebook and Instagram.
Great. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your story, talking about your series. Really awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this has been the Countless Vlogcast with my guest, Author Maxina Storibrook, author of the series Danarko. Guys, check it out. Support, follow her on Instagram, Facebook, all that. And look at the website. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Countless Vlogcast.
Thank you.